Hey everybody, Steve Burns back again. Now we're ready to address the fire and smoke effect. But before I do so, I want to address this edge here. All right, this little blue highlight that we created for the edge of this wall. Let's go ahead and make that a lot more convincing. So we're going to go to Bridge. And let's grab something that's going to work great for the edge. I like this image here, so I'm going to drag and drop it on over into our image. Let's go ahead and zoom out real quick. Hold my Alt option to zoom in here and hit enter. Let's go ahead and move it off to the side temporarily. Hit the V key. That was an accidental duplicate, but there we go. Let's turn that off and there we go. Now, let's find the highlight. There's our highlight here, right? Let's get in close. I'm going to put this texture above my highlight. Let's go get my texture. It's kind of large still. Command T. Bring it down in size to match that of the perspective of the scene. So these bricks are going to be a lot smaller. I'm also going to rotate this here. Okay. Something like this. So maybe, yeah, I think that works pretty well. Get a little bit straight up and down and hit enter. I'm going to apply that now as a clipping path to this. So Alt click, there we go. So now we got our brick in there. We can move it around. That brick can be a little larger. It's kind of small. So Command T, which is the beauty of smart objects. There we go. Make that a little larger. That's a little more convincing. And hit enter. There we are. Let's duplicate the layer. Command J. Keep it as a clipping path to our texture. And I want to make sure I have the correct texture selected. Bring it on down. Now, to make it look not so repetitive, Command T, I'll just flip it around, give it a sense that the darker textures in the bottom, which is makes it look a little more interesting. There you go. There we are. So once we have that established, we want to create the shading that's going to give this edge some depth. So I'll make a new layer. Make it a clipping path again to those highlights. Make this layer, just like we just learned, to overlay. Make sure that the brush is selected. And I'm going to use my darker values to start. There we go. Underneath here, start adding some depth in here. Especially it comes deeper underneath here. There we go. It's a little darker in this lower section, a little brighter at the top. Same thing in here. There we go. So we're starting to get a nicer sense of what's going on. Now these edges aren't perfect because of the way we drew the highlight initially. So go to the highlight, hit the E key for the eraser, and let's grab a brush that's a little bit more of a solid edge. So maybe I'm going to go look and see what I have here. And I think here's one that has an edge that's not so texturous. I'm going to target it. Go to my brush properties. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the pen pressure completely. So under the solid edge, we got rotation. Okay, good. So I'm going to save that brush. Nice tight spacing. Save it once again because I made that little bit of a change. Now make this smaller. Now we're in the eraser tool. So now I can just erase away very quickly to make it more of a solid edge. So before and after. All right. There we go. Slowly erasing away. Maybe we don't want it so straight. Make it irregular edges. We can use some of this brick in here to decide how we're going to make this look as a final result. Kind of follow the brick, cut into the lines. Okay, so I'm erasing away. Bring this back up, and just gonna go down and just reestablish your wall. All the way down, make it more of a solid edge instead of a very soft edge. And it's an opportunity to kind of, redefine the shape as well. So I'm just cutting away little pieces, make it look like this solid stone on the edge and not some soft, fuzzy looking, cotton looking thing here. Okay. There we go. That's a little stronger. So turn that off and on. Okay. As we can see, we also applied it to the opposite side. I think I'm going to want to separate this, the one on the right hand side. Go to my lasso tool, grab it, Command J so I can keep it in its place. All right. So it should have only selected this one here, but it duplicated. Let's take a look. There we go. Let's go ahead and grab that, which is exactly what it did, but it made the clipping path of everything else to the wrong one. So I'm going to just, there we go. So now there is my second one here, right above. I'm going to go down to the original highlights, and I'm going to delete this. Great, it's gone. So if I turn this one on and off, that's the only one. Now it's on its own layer. So I may want to give that a little bit of a different color. That's why I chose that. So if I add an adjustment layer right above, and say something like a curves adjustment layer, I had a selection. I'm going to go ahead and fill that in with white. And with that curves adjustment layer, let's go pull this up. We can make adjustments to just that texture. So let me kind of pull it up a little bit more. Let's keep it down low and bring up the highlights. Oh, actually, I'm thinking I'm liking what I had. That's better. All right, let's go to our group. Alt to make a clipping path. So it's only affecting that layer. So let's do that again. Let's pull this out of the way so we can see a little better. And we're not getting much of a result here. All right, there we are. Pull that up, pull it down so we can see. It's getting closer. That wall is being isolated, so we made a clipping path of that curve to that wall. Now, if you want to quickly adjust the lighting of that wall a bit, let's bring that up to here. We can do the color balance right here in curve, so we can go to the blue. I want the blue, not the green, and go to the opposite of blue, which is yellow, and we can add a little more of that yellow to it if we want to. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and zoom out, see the whole thing. And we're going to apply the same technique to this side that we did to the left. And let's go in and accomplish that real quickly. Here's the one. That's the one I'm looking at here. Let's go in and grab the texture that we've already created. I'm going to Alt and drag it, put it right above the layer. It duplicates it. Let's go get our layer, hit the V key for the move tool, position it over our texture, Command T. I'll take a chance and make it a little bit larger. Okay. And if we want to play that perspective game, we can kind of, give it a feeling that things are kind of moving in the right perspective. Should always play that perspective game. Now what we're going to do is Option click. So now that is outlining here. So if I wanted to add more thickness to this, I simply go to the line underneath it and add more pixels to the area. So I hit the B key for the brush and just simply paint in more pixels, and that brick will automatically be there. Alright, just add more thickness. Pull it on back, you can see what's going on. And of course what we'll do is we'll add in our lighting and shading, make it more convincing. Alright. Cross and bring it across right about like so. Alright. Add a new layer. Burn and dodge layer. Let's change the blend mode to overlay. Option clicking. Alright, now we can start to paint. So how about if I go grab some tonality right down in here. Alright, and you can start to shade this out to your heart's content. Okay, there we go. Alright, so not completed yet, but anyways, let's go ahead and pull it on back. We're getting closer, so let's do some fire next. So the fire engine utilizes the pen tool for establishing its initial results. So I'm going to take the pen tool, click a couple of points here to make a line, and the fire engine is going to actually produce the fire from this vector shape. There's all vector technology going on. I'm going to make a brand new layer for it to go into. Now I want this to be underneath my building, right? But above my textures. So I'm going to make the layer there. Okay. Now we're going to go over to our filter, render, flame. Target flame, we'll sit back and relax. Alright, so there is an example of our flame, and we have all types of options to adjust it. So I can play with the length of it, bring it up a little higher, which I think I'll do. And I can play around random lengths, the width, the angles, everything. I'm going to keep the fire going straight up at this point. If we go to the advanced, we have all types of more options here, so play around with these. For now, I'm going to click OK, keep most of those default. And there's my initial flame. Hit my V key, bring that layer on over inside here. Pretty cool. Alright, so I'm going to go over to my path panel. I'm going to get rid of that path. I don't need it anymore. So my flame is in here. I like it. Bring it down just a little bit. Let's bring the flame over to the other side as well. So Alt Option, drag it. I would recreate another because for the other side so that it doesn't look too repetitive. Maybe I'll bring it down like so. And don't forget you can also apply your warp. Edit, transform, warp. There we go. And enter. Okay, so we're getting some of the fire inside there. Now, inside that fire, it's going to get it's going to be a little bit of a glow underneath there. We'll deal with that in a little differently. So I want to see exactly where the smoke and the fire is going to, how it's going to look on the overall building. So how about if we go get our fire and smoke brush and start painting in the smoke effects and the highlights?